Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you had a great day. It is time for our live stream, and I'm super excited to talk about excuses. I know we've talked about excuses before, but this time I want to talk about how or what can you do to help you get past your own excuses. I have mine. I have excuses for everything, just like every other person does. And so I'm not alone. You guys are not alone when you have those excuses. And you know inside your own self if it's a legitimate excuse, like it's really happening, or there's a really good reason why you are unable to do something or commit to something that you said you were going to do. So we're going to talk about how can you get past those excuses, right? So I'd love to see that you're all here. I'd love to see some comments. I would love to hear a past excuse that you've used, or maybe one that is really hard for you to get past right now, because we unfortunately live in a very negative world right now, and I'm trying to be more positive and look at the things that I'm grateful for, and choose to be around positive people and have positive comments and things like that. Hey Pam, nice to see you. So again, we're talking about excuses and how can I get past my excuses? What are some things you can do to get past your excuses? Because we all have them. And I wanted to quote a gentleman by the name of Jim Rohn. You may have heard of him. He's a motivational speaker. And this is something that I tell women almost on a daily basis. And same, I have to tell myself this too. But he says, if you really want to do something, you will find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. So I think that's a perfect way to start our conversation today. Hey, Jody, it's so true. If you want something, and I truly, truly, truly believe this, if you want something bad enough and you're fed up and you're ready to move in a different direction, whatever that may be, and it can be in other areas of your life besides health and fitness and all of that. It can be in a personal life. It can be in your professional, like what your career is. It can be in a relationship. But if you really want something bad enough, you're going to find a way to do it or get it or make it happen. And like Jim says here, if you don't, you're going to find an excuse. So you really have to want something, right? So excuses tend to be this perfect justification or a catalyst. Hey, Cindy, glad you joined us. So again, when you want something bad enough, you'll find a way no matter what's in your way. And I think you guys can all agree with that. So, and if you really don't want something, you're going to find a way out. And that's when those excuses come into play. And they can be a really good justification in your mind, or a catalyst to change your mind to do something different, right? So let's talk about some ways that you can get past your excuses. Because like I was saying at the start, I have excuses. I'm not any different than anybody else. You guys aren't any different than other people. So we can all come up with different excuses or justifications as to why we don't want something. So you really have to want that change, that job, that different relationship, wanting to be a different person. You have to want it really bad to make that happen. So, and that, like I said, you can really want a brand new car. Maybe you want that Jeep that you've been really craving for a really long time. You're going to find a way to get that if you really, really want that. So, one thing you can do to get past your excuses, and this is true with many things, is listen to your inner self. So So assess the situation, about that decision or that before you're making that excuse, because maybe it's something that you're avoiding dealing with. And of course I'm in the health and the fitness world, and being a nurse and all of that. There's all kinds of excuses of anything from I don't want to exercise because I don't like to sweat, or I don't want to take that medication because it's too expensive, or I don't want to lose 50 pounds because it means that I'm going to have to, exercise, and I don't really like to go to the gym. So really look at your inner self and have a conversation with yourself. Honestly, if you realize that you cannot overcome an issue or a situation, and you feel that something is out of control, which happens, and then that's preventing you from having the ability to solve it. I'm sorry, that's my dog, Thor. Life throws us those impossible situations, right? And we have to accept them as part of the human experience. So, if it's truly not something that you really, really want, and you're having that conversation with yourself, and you're not ready to face that, you're not ready to exercise, you're not ready to go into a gym, you're not willing to put in that effort because of whatever it is. Honestly, it's not the end of the world. It's your choice. But you can also manage it by being a little bit more patient with yourself too. So another thing is, sometimes in those situations of things that maybe you don't want to do, sometimes you need to look in the mirror and call yourself out. All right, Diana, why don't you want to do this? It's better for you to lose that 50 pounds. Don't you want to be healthy? Don't you want to be around for your grandkids? All that kind of stuff. So, people, honestly, as well as I know when I'm making an excuse for something, right? So you do have to listen to your instincts to some regard, and don't force the issue, because if you're truly, truly not ready, then don't make that decision right now. Be patient with yourself. But also, on the flip side, you may need to call yourself out on that too, because if you're starting to have to take blood pressure medication, or you're starting to have to wear a CPAP mask at night because you are overweight and it's not just sleep apnea, you may need to think a little bit differently about that, and where do you truly want your life to go. So really, you do have to listen to your inner self, and that's the first thing. So that's one way to get past those excuses. You have to be invested in that decision or that choice that you're making. And that's with anything in life. I'm using those health and fitness examples because I can speak to those the most. But it could be, it could be anything, honestly. So then the second thing that you can do to get past your excuses is set small goals as a pathway to that larger goal. And we talk a lot about goal setting and chopping those bigger goals up into little tiny goals. So again, let's take the 50 pounds. I want to lose 50 pounds. That seems very overwhelming, right? But when you chunk it down, I'm going to lose 5 pounds this next month. Well, then I only have to lose 45. Then I'm going to lose 5 pounds the next month. And then it just continuously will get to that point. If you set those large goals, and then the weeks go by and the days go by and you get no closer, you're not going as fast as you want, that can be very disheartening. So as you go along by creating smaller goals and you hit those, they're like little micro goals, and that's more feelings of success, right? So you start crossing those smaller goals off. It's 1% body fat, it's 0.5% body fat. It's I'm going to meal prep on Sunday and I'm going to do it for Monday and Tuesday. It's short goals, knowing that you want to get to that ultimate bigger goal. So hopefully that's helpful. So an example would be maybe you want to take this big trip to Europe, and you want to, it's kind of okay, well, that's a big goal. Where in Europe and what do I need? So you want to determine where you want to go first. You want to pick a travel date, and you want to give yourself an end date. And then you want to look at tickets, research your plane tickets and hotels and all those prices. Then you want to book your airfare, but you set little goals on doing those things, and then you book those accommodations within a certain period of time. So if you want to lose 25 pounds, well, I'm going to lose 4 pounds by, you can do this, lose 4 pounds by the end of November, right? And then for December, I'm going to lose 5 pounds by the end of December. Again, chunking that up, you want to meal prep for a week, so 5 to 7 days, whatever that might be. I'm going to do maybe it's meal prep for tomorrow, or meal prep for 2 days, and see how it goes. And before long, you'll start to really get to that bigger, larger goal. And so those are little small steps. It's like a little goal itinerary, I call it, where you can check things off. I'm a list. I have lists everywhere. Like if you look at my desk, I have lists, and because I like to cross things off. It's a sense of accomplishment, right? It's more motivation to get to that larger goal. So big projects. This is my big overarching project. Well, what are those things that I need to do to get to that project? So same kind of thing. So anything that you want to change in your life is determined by all those practical steps that you apply. So, and those bring you closer and closer every day to that ultimate large goal. So you cannot lose 100 pounds in 6 months, right? So you've got to chop that up and do it a little bit long term. So hopefully that helps. So the first thing you want to do to help you get past those excuses is really listen to your inner self, right? Is that something I really, really want to do? Am I motivated enough to do that? Is that a choice that I need to make, or is somebody telling me that I have to do it, right? The second thing is set those small goals as a pathway to the larger goals. And that's in many different areas, not only just excuses and trying to move past that, but it's ultimate goal setting and how do you do that with getting to that larger goal. The third thing is, here's a good one, because I tell myself this, and I talk to a lot of women every day, and often this comes up, but number 3, if others have done it, why can't you? So if you ask yourself, and you're asking yourself this question that you want to change, do I find myself wanting to change a part of my life? But instead of taking action, you're dreaming about it. Like, I want to. Okay, here's one I'll use for myself, and you guys can probably relate. But I someday would love to have a house on the lake. I have a couple lakes that I would love to live on, and so that to me is a dream. So that's an aspect of my life that I want to change. There's some things in my life that doesn't make sense, but that is a big goal of mine, is to change where I live, and but other things have to come together for me to be able to do that. So if others have done that and made that a goal, why can't I, right? And if I can do that, I can maybe inspire others to do that. So you don't have to be the person looking and watching somebody else make those changes and experience a great part of their life. You can do it too. And once you start to recognize that all humans, and including you, are capable of growth and evolution and making those things happen, you're going to stop and think to yourself, I am worthy of making that goal happen. And you don't have to be the one sitting back admiring that. So if you have a goal of losing 25, 50 pounds, whatever that is, why can't you do it? Other people do it all the time, right? So think about it that way, and you don't have to be the person watching that and wishing it was you, because you have the choice and you can make that happen. So I like that one. If others have done that, done anything, you can do it too. Why can't you? There's really no reason why you can't make those changes or choices. And that's, again, with many, many things in life. So here's another one. Number 4, stop saying I want to and start saying I'm going to. So how many times have you said it maybe, or you've heard other people say, I want to work out more, travel more, get a new job, move to a new city, get a lake house. It's so the person who's always saying that they want to usually doesn't make those changes, right? Wanting to do something versus going to do something is really powerful, right? It changes those words. In fact, I have to look down to make sure I'm saying it right. Wanting to is a dream. Like, I'm dreaming that I want to do that. It's not a defined statement. It's not a planned out statement. It's you're living up over here in this dream world in the clouds. But Going to is an action. It's I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out 3 times this week. I'm going to meal prep for 2 days this week. It's a vision. It's a desire to make those steps to that final outcome. So think about when you're talking with other people in your day-to-day life and you're discussing something in your life that you're looking to change. Don't say I want to, say I'm going to. So that will change this up here. Because we all know that the brain controls what the body does, right? And so if we tell ourselves, I'm going to versus I want to, or I will try. No, I can do that. I can do 5 push-ups. Maybe I don't do them on my toes, maybe I'm doing them on my knees, but I can do that, right? So it's the language. So stop saying I want to and start saying I am going to. Number 5, learn about the unknown. So this is something that's very near and dear to my heart because I grew up in an amazing household, great mom and dad. My dad is a procrastinator. He's the first one to admit it. So I tend to be a little bit of a procrastinator too. Oftentimes I do that when it's the fear of the unknown, when I don't know what's coming, what the next step is. So it's hard sometimes to change your current reality and your daily behavior if you've always done that. So when you work with me, we talk about in our programs changing that identity and that belief system that you grew up with and changing it to the person that you want to be, and that belief system and that identity will go with you. So you have to be okay, or changes, I guess I want to say it this way, changes take risks, right? That's why a lot of times we're slow to make new choices or have new experiences, change your lifestyle or a career change, right? Because it's taking a risk. It's something that you're uncomfortable with. So it's really important to get out of your comfort zone. So stop fearing the unknown. I want you to embrace it. Look at it as exciting, especially like, a new identity, a new belief system. I'm going to be a better person, a different person. I'm going to cross that bridge over to that person that I want to be. Like maybe it's a career change. You want to do something different, weigh out those options. If you want a lifestyle change, like I just was talking about, weigh out your pros and cons. Well, if I'm 50 pounds overweight and I stay this way, what is that going to do to me in the future? What's going to happen to me, right? So really, just write that stuff down and get it out of your head, and it becomes less uncomfortable. Change becomes less uncomfortable and more inviting and more exciting. So for me, if I become really anxious, I have to change my mindset to say, well, this is exciting. Yeah, it's change, it's scary and all that, but look at it as take that anxiety and that fear and change it into excitement. So learn about the unknown, investigate it. What's it going to take? But what are the cons if I don't make that change? All right, this is a good one in this society that we live in. Don't blame others for your lack of drive. It's on you. You can't blame the world for your lack of motivation and you sitting on the couch and not doing anything. Those who make excuses often find other people or circumstances to blame. Oh, it's COVID. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. It is so destructive to blame. And it's really not good for our self-confidence. So it's really easy to blame the world for all your problems. But the President of the United States, if you don't like him, how does that really affect you, right? I mean, he's got all these other things. He's not really affecting us on a daily basis. What it does is if you're blaming others, it just takes the power away from you, right? It just sucks the life out of you, and that's another way. And it makes you a victim. And I don't want to be that person, and I know you guys don't want to be those people that, it's, oh, poor me this, or oh, poor me that. And we all know COVID was it was tough, and it changed a lot of people's lives. But you can't continually blame that for everything. It's a really good excuse for a lot of things, right? But then it makes you a victim of society. It makes you a victim of the world. So, and I'm sure you know people who are like that. And you can blame your parents, you can blame your country, you can blame whatever. But most successful people, even those that have come from really, really hard, tough backgrounds and stuff, they are able to persevere because they're not blaming. They're looking at themselves how they can be better. That young boy, a child of an alcoholic, how does he not become that alcoholic? Because he's persevered, he's looked inward, he's maybe had some guidance or a coach or another family member to help him move away from that or not go down that road. So it's important for you guys and for me and for everybody to take control over your life, that you are responsible for it. You make your choices, you make those decisions, and honestly, you are in charge of your future. So if you are stuck in a rut, you have yourself, I don't want to say to blame, but look at yourself and look to see how you can move past that and move. Don't become a victim of it. You can control it and make the decisions and those choices. So also too, you're not alone. There's a lot of different places you can go for support. Mind Body Beautiful is a great group to come in and get support when you're feeling like you're struggling. So don't blame others for your lack of drive and your lack of motivation and things like that. And then the last one I want to talk about is don't compare yourself to others. Okay, because if you compare yourself to others who achieve what you are seeking, it's easy to focus on what you have not achieved. So be happy for that person that has lost that 50 pounds. Ask them how they did it. Right? Give them feedback. That'll help them feel. That'll make them feel really good. But then you can learn from them too. There's always going to be somebody doing something better or first or than you are. Right? There's always going to be somebody that's maybe looks better. You think looks better than you. There's always going to be that. But you have to look at yourself. This is you. You don't need to compare yourself to anybody but yourself. And so, kind of lost my train of thought. So, we're all different, right? And we're unique, and we come into our own growth process at all sorts of stages of our life. So, the majority of women in this group are 40, 50, and above. Think about the different ways that we are all unique. We have different backgrounds. We have different careers, some similarities, but we all have different parents. And you may have achieved something in your life that someone is envious of you. Like maybe you do have this certain car and somebody really, really wants it. Or you do have this you're like physically, your physique has changed and you're in shape, and now you've got people talking about you and talking to you and admiring you. And but the only person that you need to compete with really is yourself. So people do look to you and admire you for the things in your life that you've done. And I bet all of you could give me a story about that. And so if we compare ourselves to other people and then, we get that kind of jealousy, we should be happy for them because we can get there. We can get there too, right? And it's just us. So we have to compare ourselves to ourselves. So that personal, like if you lift more than you did last week, that's a really amazing thing. It's not like you lifted more than Sally at the gym. That's really kind of motivating and competitive, which is good too. It will push you. But really, you're just comparing yourself to yourself. It's more important to do that. So hopefully this will help you get past some of your excuses. So I'm just going to go by those again, and I'll post those below this live. The lives are all recorded and put into the guide section in the Facebook group, and it'll be titled, How Can I Get Past My Own Excuses? So I'm going to just name them all, some ways that you can stop, or I shouldn't say stop. Yeah, we should stop making excuses, but how can we move past them? Don't blame others, right, for your lack of drive. If you want to sit on the couch, it's not somebody else's fault. Learn about the unknown. Don't fear the unknown. Gravitate towards it. Learn. You can always learn something. I learn something new every single day, and I really believe that and mean that. If others have done it, why can't you? There's nothing that you can't do, right? So that's another tip for getting past those excuses. Also, set small goals as a pathway to that larger goal. And we'll probably talk a lot more about goals many times probably in the future. The biggest one I think is don't compare yourself to others, and also listen to your inner self. Listen to yourself. Assess the situation. Assess where you want to go. Why are you making those excuses? Is it because it's something that you're truly not invested in, and you truly don't really want it right now? And that's okay. Make sure you really look at that part of you though, so that you don't get caught up in excuse after excuse after excuse, because we all have them. So I'm just going to take a peek and look. All right, doesn't look like we have any questions. So glad you were able to pop on with me this afternoon and talk about how to get past your excuses. Remember, you're not alone in that. We all have them. And just hopefully you've got something out of some ways for you to move past those. I will, again, post this below the Facebook Live, which is going to be posted in the guide section. So I want you all to have an amazing rest of your Wednesday and kick it out of the park the rest of this week. And I will see you next week, Wednesday. Take care.